huge focus on the January transfer window and splashing out players coming in and players going out. But I think what's been for unnoticed is that there's actually 6 academy graduate players in the Celtic team just now. And I just wanted to know, is it important to you moving forward that there is that pathway to continue to exist, the Celtic to continue to grow their own players and nurture their own talent, and for those young players to go, that they will get that first league opportunity?
Yeah, absolutely. It's essential. Just to pick up on what you first said, we're never going to be a club that splashes out. We just don't have the financial resources to do that. So, and I don't think we'll ever be at that level when you see the economy of world football. So, we've got to be really, efficient in how we deal with both producing players and players we bring in, and a big part of it for me is definitely the academy pipeline. And one of the areas we're really concentrating on at the moment in terms of restructuring and in terms of making sure we're really spot on with both our coaching development and our scouting of young players. Will become a great emphasis, because it's ideal for me. If we can always, every year top up with players coming through our own processes, meaning that they already understand how we play, that we've already identified they've worked with us, they understand the club and its values and the expectations around it. It makes it a lot easier than, trying to bring in a whole new breed of people every sort of 2 or 3 years. So it's another area we're doing a lot of work in the background on. Obviously, we've got people who have been involved with the academy for a very long time, Chris McCart, and obviously with the B team as well. So, I'm working closely with them to make sure that pipeline continues.
Can I also ask you about Kyogo? There's a narrative of criticism developing here about maybe diving, other things and stuff like that. How much are you aware of that, and is the player aware of that, or you just tell him to shrug these things off? Of his valuable contribution that he's brought to the team since he came in so far?
Who are these brave people, these warriors who, accusing people who are out there? Kyogo's the size of a jockey. He's playing against guys almost, a foot taller than him, and all these brave warriors on the outside are casting aspersions, are they? I haven't read it. I won't read it. You end up in arguments with ignorant people. You'll eventually become one of them. So I kind of ignore those kind of narrative as you painted it. I think Kyogo's been great for our football club. I think he's been great for Scottish football. And I'd be surprised if anyone wouldn't want somebody of his character and his playing ability in their club or in their league. So beyond that, mate, as I said, good on all these brave soldiers sitting in their studios or lounge rooms or wherever they are, and throwing these narratives across the bay.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, mate.
Alison.
Hi, Ange. Just picking up a little bit on what's been said there. Where are you in terms of transfers for January? Is there anybody kind of further down the line?
No, we're as I said, we're working hard on it. There's always, things that you need to sort of overcome on a daily basis, particularly at the moment with the way the world is in terms of, the way we have discussions and how we follow up on things. But we're still, I'm still really happy with the way things are tracking, and I still expect us to be well organised and have the people we want in place hopefully early in the transfer window. That's been the plan all along, and so I've been working with Michael and the other key people at the club around that, and there's nothing that's happened that's made me think that we won't be on schedule with that.
In terms of the game tomorrow night, how do you approach it? Will you give some other players maybe some game time?
Yeah, look, for us, obviously, we're in the middle of a really busy period, and we continue. We've got still, I think, 8 games between now and the break, and it makes sense for us tomorrow night to give some people a bit of rest who've been playing a fair bit of football, and also to give some others some game time, because we're definitely going to need them. We saw on the weekend we had guys like Greg Taylor come back into the team, and Mikey Johnson come back in, and it's really important that whenever we need to make changes, that somehow we get players some game time. And I think tomorrow night's a great opportunity to do that, to give some game time to players who haven't had a lot lately, so that should they be needed going forward, or if they get an opportunity, they've played some football against obviously a good quality opponent, which will be a good test for us tomorrow night.
Thanks, Alison. Ronnie Charters?
Just on that note, Ange, can we just have an injury update in terms of the 3 who missed and any others who are up at some?
No, Stephen Walsh is fine. He's okay, so he's available. Tony Ralston, probably not for tomorrow night. James Forrester came off on the weekend, nothing serious, but again, we won't risk him tomorrow night. I think that's it in terms of guys who, the ones who sort of have had the short-term stuff. The rest are all sort of longer-term out, but they're the main ones.
We heard Jim Coates obviously at the weekend just talking about a club like Celtic don't do dead rubbers. In terms of the fringe players who will get their chance tomorrow night, is this the chance for them to lay down that marker? It's a busy festive period coming up. Is it a chance for them to stake their claim as their first team regular if they can show up? Well,
yeah, as I said before, it's an opportunity for them. I mean, I'm not going to sort of judge them on one performance, but it is an opportunity, absolutely. And it's like anything else in life. I mean, you saw, I spoke about Liam Scales on the weekend. He comes on and he hasn't played featured a lot, but he works hard at training every day, plays for 15 minutes and makes an impact. Well, I wouldn't have judged him harshly if he didn't, but he hasn't done his cause any harm by coming on and making an impact. And that's the opportunity that exists for all the players, whether they've played a lot recently or they haven't. I know they've been training hard because that's how we train, and we wouldn't let them not train hard. But the second part of that is for them to take that opportunity, as you said, and then make a case for themselves moving forward.
Thanks, Ryan McLaughlin.
Hi Ange, nice to see you again.
Too, mate.
Your quote there, we're never going to be a club that splashes out. There's an expectancy from Celtic fans as a motto for the club to spend money. Can you maybe just give us a little bit more info as to exactly what you meant?
Well, splash for me is, we'll never be a club that overspends, put it that way. This club has been run well before my time in a very prudent manner in terms of its finances, and that should always be the case. That hasn't restricted it from bringing in talent whenever it needed to, and didn't restrict us, in the previous window, and it won't restrict us in the next window. But we work in a football economy where there are different scales for different clubs, and a club of our size, I think, has always got to be, a little bit different with the way we spend our money, because we know, we've got to get a bigger bang for our buck than others, mate. We can't get too many wrong. We want to be a club that when we invest in a player, we try and, it's not an exact science, obviously, and, you're going to get some that don't work out, but, we're never going to be just spending for the sake of it, that's for sure.
And finally for me, tomorrow night is your 12th European tie of the season. Quite remarkable, isn't it? That this is where we are. How would you assess, from walking in the door and being thrown into Champions League ties, to where we are now, in terms of where we are in the Europa League group, and of course looking into the Conference League?
Yeah, look, I mean, not me personally, but I just think for the team, I definitely think we've made progress. Whether that's reflected always in the results, no, but I think we've made progress in both our football, our performances, our belief. If you look at from where we started, and even the sort of team we were putting out in those Champions League qualifiers as compared to sort of the last game against Leverkusen, and our performance, it's been progress, which has been pleasing. Obviously, we didn't achieve what we wanted to, which is the disappointing bit. But my view is that if we keep progressing, keep challenging ourselves to play against the very best, and our group was a decent group. We've got a team who's Leverkusen, who's I think third in the Bundesliga. We got Betis, who are third in the La Liga. I mean, it's not a bad group. Ferencváros on top of their league. It was a good test for us, and I think we measured ourselves. We left nothing in the tank. I don't think we have to sort of worry about us not putting it out there. We did that. We got spanked a few times, but I think we gave out as much from on our behalf as well, and I think we've learnt from that. So it's been progress, mate, and I think from my perspective, that's what I want to continue.
Thanks, Ange. Do you tomorrow?
Thank you, bud.
Andrew McLean. Andrew.
Hi Ange, Japan manager in the last day or so has said that he's planning on picking a domestic squad for their qualifiers in January. Do you see that as a boost for yourself and a boost for Kyogo, given just the amount of football he's played this year?
Yeah, to a certain extent. I mean, I there might need to be some clarification around those quotes, I think, because I know he's picked a squad they've got a couple of friendlies before that. I'm not sure that that'll be the case for the actual qualifiers. But if it is, then it'll be great, obviously, because they're going to be missing some football in terms of, Kyogo has had he's coming up to his sort of 11th month of football now without a real break. And, obviously we're looking at January to give him a little bit of time off, and it'll be great if he can sort of come back with us and then finish the season strongly. So we just got to sort of, we're always monitoring him. To be fair to him, he's really good at looking after himself off the field and presenting himself well. But I think the whole national team thing is always going to be a challenge for us, but especially this coming year with a calendar as it is. But we've coped with it in the past, and we'll cope with whatever's thrown at us in the future.
A lot of players during this period say that they prefer, playing a game every 3 days or so, and that's the way they like to do it. Do you have the same mindset as a manager, or would you much rather have that training time in between?
Yeah, look, I mean, what else a player's going to say? They're not going to, they don't like playing. I mean, and I get that, but I think there's always a balance. I think players also enjoy having a decent sort of training period as well, and a good recovery between games, because then they can perform at optimum levels. If you're constantly playing, I get it that they enjoy playing, but I think players even themselves realise that there's a natural attrition there where they can't perform at the highest levels because of just the amount of football they have to play. But maybe they just don't enjoy my training, mate, and prefer playing. I don't know. But look, from my perspective as a coach, you always feel like you want more time with them, to recover and to do some work for the next game. But we, as I said a couple of weeks ago, you have to be creative as a manager, and your coaching staff have to be creative to find other ways to get our information across the players, so that even though it's a tight schedule, we're still giving them the opportunity to improve. And if that's not on the field, it's off the field with the information we give them. So that, as I said, you just don't want to be playing games without actually developing and improving,
Joe Hendry.
And there's been a lot of talk already about who's coming in January, but there are reports that Parkhead could be heading out. Is that something that you're looking at?
Look, in terms of players out, again, I've been fairly consistent on that. Those discussions will happen, between now and then. And if players feel like their futures are better served away from here, then we'll sit down with them and find a solution. But my focus right now is what's in front of us. We've got some big games coming up. In the background, we're working on the players we want to bring in, and working on if players want to go, we're working on that as well. But in terms of having individual discussions or trying to sort of really pursue that avenue, it's not a priority for me right now.
And just touching briefly again on the game at the weekend, which you fairly enjoyed against Dundee United, was that as satisfying a feeling as you've had on the road with Celtic so far?
Well, look, it was a good performance. I mean, I'm allowed to enjoy myself. I mean, I'm not that miserable all the time. I can, we played well. We scored some good goals. I've managed to smile a couple of times, but it's I do love what I do, and I feel pretty fortunate. So I'm going to enjoy the good times as I want the players and our fans to. So, but was it any more significant than any other away victories? No. You know how hard it is to win away against a difficult opponent. But I was pleased because we played well and we scored some good goals and gave some excitement to our fans. Well, that's stuff that I enjoy as well. So I'll try to stay more sort of reserved next time so that people don't get too sort of upset about things.
Okay, thanks. David Flanagan, please.
Hi, Ange. Dave from Cynic.
Hey, bud.
I want to ask about the role of Joe Hart in Celtic's build-up. Is the emphasis on short over mid and long-range passing something you've adapted for Joe's skill set specifically? Or do you see this as a template for how you want your goalkeepers to play with the ball at Celtic?
No, it's not about Joe specifically. It's how we want to play our football. And I've always felt with that there's a lot of emphasis on goalkeepers playing out from the back. Obviously, if you want to be a team that sort of builds up from that, the goalkeeper becomes a pretty crucial part. But I've never expected my goalkeepers to sort of, nail passes like Beckenbauer. Wrong generation for you guys, but I don't know, a Xavi or something like that. The idea of a goalkeeper is that he's there to use his hands and stop the goals, but he can help us in our build-up by making simple passes and being an avenue for us to sometimes just change the direction of the game or change the tempo of our game. And it's not just about Joe. Any goalkeeper I've had, whether they're guys who are comfortable with their feet or not, I think anyone can sort of pass a ball 5 or 10 yards. It's about then giving them the confidence and the tools to see what the options are when we're playing out from the back. But Joe's distributions I think is improving. There's been a couple of moments in recent weeks where he's played things a bit longer out of his hands, and we've had some great counter attacks from that because we've got some quick players up front. So that's developing as well. So as I said, that's more of a template of how I want my teams to play than sort of specific around Joe.
And are there any players in the B team that you might look to integrate either tomorrow or in the near future? I know that although Yemi's been in the squad previously, is he one you're particularly impressed by? Yeah,
Toby's, Stevie Wood's our goalkeeper coach, rates him very highly, and whenever we've had him up training with the team, he's shown some good qualities. And with all these guys, we try and include them as much as we can and give them that experience, whether it's training. Obviously, Toby was on the Champions League list, so it gives him a chance to travel with the team and just get the experience. We've had other guys, young Dane Murray's been up from the B team as well, played some football with us. So we're always, again, looking, working closely with Tommy in terms of the B team structure and how they play, and guys who, they want to give some experience in first team training. In terms of playing, obviously they've got to be on the Champions League list for us to put them in tomorrow night. I think Dane's on that list as well, so we've had him on the bench a few times. So again, any opportunity we get to give them some experience, whether that's playing or training, I think it's important because they train here alongside us. They live and breathe the place, and they can see the first team. It's literally a fence away, and we want to make sure that there's an incentive there for them to cross that fence line and one day be part of the first team.
Thanks for your time, Ange.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks, David. Ronnie Esplin.
Hi, Ange.
Hey, mate.
Just going back to your squad again, you said last week Jota would be a few weeks. How confident are you he'll be fit and available for the cup final?
I'm very confident he won't be, mate. He won't be right for the cup final. A few weeks means a few weeks, so how long that stretches out for, we'll wait and see, but he definitely won't be right for the cup final.
Was it a more serious injury than you first thought?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously we're waiting for the final diagnosis, but when he came in, as I said, it was going to be a few weeks. So it was going to be 3 to 4 weeks recovery, depending on how he's going. It only happened a week ago, so if you look at timelines, it gets pretty tight for between now and the break. So we'll just have to see how he recovers from it.
Thank you.
Okay,
All right, Ronnie.
Okay, guys.